Sometimes a song starts as a joke. A studio prank, a quick laugh, and ends up everywhere. Today, we're counting down 10 hits nobody was supposed to take seriously, until the whole world did. Songs written in minutes, meant to mock pop music, but somehow became pop legends. Number 10, Rock Me Amadeus, Falco. In mid-80s Vienna, the idea of a German-language rap pop song about Mozart sounded ridiculous. Falco and his team leaned into that. They imagined Mozart as the first wild rock star, talented, arrogant, partying his way through high society, and turned that idea into Rock Me Amadeus, a track that blended rap, rock, and classical touches into something completely off the wall. Falco's producer worried it was too strange even for European radio. The lyrics were packed with references to wigs, debts, and aristocratic scandals, all delivered in German over a beat that belonged on a dance floor. It was closer to a history lesson on sugar than a typical pop song. And yet, it worked. Rock Me Amadeus hit number 1 in the US, the UK, and across Europe, making Falco the only artist ever to top the US charts with a German-language single. He later admitted he was just playing with history, not trying to make it. But by turning Mozart into a pop icon, he accidentally did both. Number 9, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, Bachman Turner Overdrive. This track was never meant to leave the studio. Randy Bachman recorded You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet as a private joke for his brother Gary, who had the famous baby line was him deliberately exaggerating that speech pattern just to make his brother laugh. It was done in one rough take, off-key in places, full of mistakes, meant to stay buried on. When the band finished their album and the label said something was missing, they reluctantly played this joke song. The label heard magic. They insisted it go on the record. Against the band's wishes, it became the single. And then it took off straight to number 1 in the US and Canada, selling millions and becoming BTO's signature song. I think that any love is good loving. So I took what I could get. Randy later joked that the biggest song of his life was the one he never wanted anyone to hear. It's something, it's a lover you never forget, baby, you ain't seen. What started as brotherly teasing turned into a stadium chant. Sometimes you don't carefully craft your legacy. You stutter into it by accident. Number 8, I Can't Drive 55, Sammy Hagar.
Hey, get out of here. I'm driving it home. Come on, I'm going. I'm gone. I'm out of here.
Most people get a speeding ticket and grumble about it. Sammy Hagar wrote a hit. After being pulled over in upstate New York for driving 62 in a 55 zone, he was so annoyed he scribbled the phrase, I can't drive 55 on a napkin in his hotel room and built a song around it. It started as a joke, a loud sarcastic protest against speed limits and rules. But the hook was too. I Can't Drive 55 became his biggest solo hit, reaching the top 30 on the Billboard charts and turning him into the red rocker fans know today. The video, full of fast cars, sunglasses, and pure 80s attitude, lived on MTV in heavy rotation. The funny twist? Not long after Hagar joined Van Halen, became a millionaire, and could afford to drive as fast as he wanted on tracks and private roads. A ticket that should have ruined his day instead handed him a career-defining anthem. Number 7, Axel F. Crazy Frog. If the internet had a theme song in the early 2000s, this might have been it. And it all started with a joke ringtone. In 2003, a Swedish sound designer named Daniel Malmedal recorded himself making ridiculous brr ding 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 engine noises just to imitate a 2-stroke motor. He shared it online for fun, and somehow it spread everywhere, bouncing around early meme sites and forums long before social media looked anything like it does today. A few producers grabbed that silly audio, glued it to a remix of the Beverly Hills Cop theme, Axel F., and gave it a mascot, Crazy Frog, a naked blue cartoon riding an invisible motorcycle. It was supposed to be nonsense. It was nonsense. Then it hit number 1 across much of Europe, sold millions, and took over music TV with a video you either laughed at or absolutely couldn't stand. Parents hated it. Kids memorized every sound. Critics called it the end of music, while the rest of us could hear it blaring from 3 streets away. And yet, looking back, that's exactly why it matters. The little frog that annoyed the world became one of the internet's first true global memes. Proof that even pure nonsense can go platinum if it's catchy enough, and that sometimes the most annoying sound in the world is the one people never forget. Number 6. My Ding-A-Ling, Chuck Berry.
When I was a little bitty boy, my grandmother bought me a cute little...
Even one of rock and roll's founding fathers couldn't resist a dirty joke. My Ding-A-Ling was a novelty tune Chuck Berry had been messing around with on stage for years. It was silly, childish, full of double meanings, and built for audience shoutbacks, the musical equivalent of a cheeky grin.
All right, girls have the first word. The girls say, my, and the boys say, Ding-A-Ling, you see? That's right.
Then he recorded it live in London. The crowd sang along louder than anyone expected, leaning hard into the innuendo. That performance captured the song's true power, not as a serious track, but as a shared joke between Berry and the audience.
She told me it was my ding-a-ling-a-ling, oh my.
To almost everyone's surprise, it went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, Chuck Berry's only chart-topping single.
My ding-a-ling, I wanna play with my...
Critics rolled their eyes and wondered how the man who gave us Johnny B. Good could take this to the top. Berry didn't seem bothered. After decades of shaping rock music, he finally had a hit that didn't ask to be analyzed, just sung and laughed along with.
Took me to Sunday school, they tried to teach me the golden rule.
In its own way, that might have been his most rebellious move.
You must be playing with your own ding-a-ling, oh.
Number 5. Surfin' Bird, the Trashmen. This story starts with pure chaos. In 1963, a Minnesota garage band called the Trashmen mashed together 2 R&B songs, Papa Momo and The Bird's the Word, during a live show.
Well, don't you know about the bird? Well, everybody knows that the bird is a word, oh, well, a bird.
They hadn't rehearsed it, hadn't planned it. They just shouted nonsense, sped everything up, and turned a goofy stage experiment into something wild.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the bird.
When they took that idea into the studio, the result sounded like a surf song having a nervous breakdown. Drums crashing, vocals screaming, lyrics repeating until it felt like the record itself was losing its mind. But radio stations loved it. Surfin' Bird climbed to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the strangest hits of the 60s, blasting out of jukeboxes in an era otherwise ruled by clean-cut pop. The Trashmen never thought they'd made a masterpiece. They were just trying to hype up a crowd. Yet decades later, the song keeps coming back, in Full Metal Jacket, Family Guy, and endless punk covers, shouted by new generations who have no idea it began as a chaotic mashup in a small Minneapolis club. Number 4. Werewolves of London, Warren Zevon. Sometimes genius hides in a joke, or in this case, a howl. Warren Zevon didn't mean for Werewolves of London to exist. It was born during a drinking session with his buddies Waddy Wachtel and Leroy Marinell, when someone jokingly said, "You should write a song about werewolves walking around London." They laughed, then actually did it.
I saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand.
The lyrics were nonsense, the piano riff simple and repetitive, and Zevon thought it was too silly for his serious songwriting reputation. He was known for dark, clever songs, not cartoon monsters and Chinese food in Soho. But his label loved it.
Werewolves of London.
Released in 1978, it howled its way to number 21 on Billboard, and that goofy ah-ooh became one of rock's most recognizable sounds. Even Zevon's friend Jackson Browne couldn't believe it worked. He called it a novelty hit from a serious poet. Musicians later sampled and referenced it for years. It popped up in movies like The Color of Money and in countless TV shows and commercials, and Kid Rock famously blended its riff into All Summer Long.
It was 1989, my thoughts were short, my hair was long.
Warren once said, "People think I was kidding. Maybe I was, but it bought me a house."
Werewolves of London again.
Sometimes the monsters you create just won't stop dancing, and sometimes the song you wrote for a laugh becomes the one the whole world remembers. Number 3. The Ballroom Blitz. Sweet. Some songs start with a fantasy. This one started with a disaster. In 1973, glam rock band Sweet played a rowdy show in Scotland that went completely off the rails. The crowd threw bottles, chaos broke out, and the band had to leave the stage mid-set.
It's been getting so hard, living with the things you do to me.
Instead of forgetting it, they turned the chaos into the Ballroom Blitz. The song is a dramatized cartoon version of the night. The man in the back, the girl in the corner, and a room on the edge of exploding. It took a scary moment and exaggerated it into a fun, over-the-top rock story with huge drums, shout-along vocals, and a chorus built for trouble.
Everybody was frightening, and the music was soothing, and they all started.
It hit the top 5 in several countries and became one of glam rock's defining anthems. Years later, when Wayne's World brought it back to a new audience, it proved just how durable that energy was. Sweet took a night they probably wanted to forget and turned it into the moment the world remembers them for. Number 2. The Bad Touch. Bloodhound Gang. In the late 90s, the Bad Touch was everywhere. Clubs, radio, music, TV. But at its core, it started as a dirty parody of how obsessed pop music had become with sex. So they wrote a song stuffed with ridiculous metaphors, over-the-top pickup lines, and a beat that felt like a cartoon version of Euroclub music. They didn't expect much. Maybe some laughs, maybe a cult following. Instead, it exploded internationally, hitting number 1 in several European countries and staying on charts for months. The Discovery Channel line became instantly quotable, repeated by teenagers who didn't always understand what they were saying.
Let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Do it again now.
Even with bands from MTV Asia and some radio stations, the single sold over 1 million copies. Their joke about shallow pop ended up becoming one of the most successful shallow pop songs ever released. They pointed at the machine, laughed, and the machine turned their joke into a career highlight. Number 1, Walk Like an Egyptian. The Bangles. The top spot goes to a song the band themselves didn't really want. Writer Liam Sternberg came up with Walk Like an Egyptian after watching people on a ferry trying to keep their balance, arms out at odd angles that reminded him of ancient Egyptian drawings. It was meant as a light, oddball idea, and several artists passed on it before it reached the Bangles.
All the old paintings on the tomb, they do the stand dance, don't you know?
They weren't convinced. Each member sang a different verse because nobody was eager to take ownership of it, and drummer Debbie Peterson didn't even get a lead part. The track used drum machines instead, which caused tension in the band. To them, it felt like a novelty song, not a serious reflection of who they were. Listeners thought otherwise. Walk Like an Egyptian went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, became the biggest American single of 1987, and turned into a full-blown craze. Eyeliner, hand gestures, dance moves, the works. Susanna Hoffs later admitted they thought it was kind of dumb, but it ended up defining their image for millions of people. The song they hesitated to claim became the one the world never forgot.
Walk like an Egyptian.
So there you have it. 10 songs that started as jokes and ended up becoming part of music history. If you enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, which joke song would you add to this list? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.